Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Vanucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Maple leaf actually ends up literally killing a few people, and that's gone.
Yeah. Well, they're good at PR.
I guess so, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, we were just talking, Phil. I was saying, I'm trying to get sort of ready for the show, and I'm trying to understand from a buyer's perspective, what would the stumbling blocks be in sprouts or certain sprouts in general, or sprouts, or just sprouts in general, right? Because you think that, they're highly nutritious. There's really not a lot of negatives to them.
No. Yeah, it was the food safety stuff was big for the buyers. They didn't want the risk. It's always about the risk, and then consumer demand, I guess. But the tricky thing is also we have a short shelf life. Like our product is 14 days. So compared to a bag of potatoes or cabbage or something like that, you got to move it fast.
Compared to the cucumber, the grape, the tomato, the peppers, which are all back now to more or less your world.
Yeah.
Peppers don't last on the shelf if they're in ambient heat for 20 days. They just don't.
Mm-hmm.
When
they shrivel up.
When you say sprouts, right? Is that like all sprouts, like bean sprouts, like
alfalfa sprouts? I'm assuming
alfalfa sprouts, like anything. Okay, got it. Radish.
Yeah, we do, for our company, we do one called a mixed bean sprout, which is like two types of lentils, adzuki, garbanzo, mung. We actually don't put mung in that anymore. Peas and green peas, and it's like complete protein, right? So it's amazing for vegans and all those sorts of folks. Then we do alfalfa sprouts. That's our biggest volume for sprout, because just the way it is we have one called deli sprouts, which is an alfalfa base, and garlic is an alfalfa base. So, it's just the way our company has set it up. And because we live on Vancouver Island, which is probably silly, we tried to do bean sprouts and sell them in Vancouver, but we weren't making any money, because the cost of the product was so low, and shipping a pallet to Vancouver is expensive, right? So everybody has their own variables, but we're talking about all those sprouts, and they did a good job of sort of making us the devil incarnate. Both the Canadian government and the US government have had warnings associated with our products on their websites since 1999. So one of my jobs has been advocating to have that removed, right? I think the FDA finally told us last year that we were doing a good job and we should start marketing ourselves. They couldn't do it for us. We had to do it. So I thought that was a good vote of confidence from them.
I think that's a great vote of confidence, to be honest with you, because it's one thing we can talk about as the podcast rolls, because I'm kind of curious to actually just learn more about what you guys do, why you guys do it, and how do we get more consumers to just eat sprouts or sprouted foods in general. Because again, if you go online and if you actually do the reading, it's a good source of protein. There's macronutrients, there's also vitamins and minerals. It's, quite frankly, if you look at it, it's a solid food.
Clover sprouts, for example, are really good with hormone replacement therapy.
Okay, so great for women who go through pre or during or post menopause, and
every single human has hormones, right? So they're not just good for that. But
at least you can hone in on something. There's plays in this for everybody. Literally everybody. And then you can also divide everybody into pockets and say, well, hey, there's specifics in here for all of you.
And broccoli sprouts probably the most researched sprout that there is out there because of its sulforaphane levels, which is a cancer-fighting compound. So, if you ever spend any time listening to Dr. Rhonda Patrick, she's on about broccoli sprouts a lot, and people are powdering them and doing this and doing that with them, and we just like to eat them. So.
Interesting. I think so. I think what we, I love these episodes because clearly I know, like,
Well, we
I know
know
what I eat, and that's about it, right? So, but I think maybe let's, for the for listeners, like we have Carmen Wakeling on, and clearly, Carmen looks after a category that we all eat, but we all clearly, well, at least we all, when I say we all, clearly I mean me,
Well, you can put
don't
me into
really
your
understand.
symbol.
But she's co-owner and CEO of Eatmore Sprouts and Greens, and then we met Carmen because she's also, kind of like in the midst of organizing a great big conference that's coming in June as well, right? May.
Yeah.
May. I shouldn't say June, otherwise people will miss it. But and so we thought we'd get Carmen on and talk a little bit about sprouts and all this stuff. But do you mind? Maybe let's back it up a step and tell us a little bit about you and a bit of your journey, if you don't mind. Like, how'd you get to?
Where'd you come from and how'd you get here?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
And maybe even why are you still here? I don't know. Maybe that's part of the question. We don't know. Let it go where it goes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I started actually working for a sprouting company called Eatmore Sprouts when I was 16. It had been started by my family friends. So when I was a little kid, they started this company, and my mom and all of us would hang out and eat sprouts and garden stuff, grow food, whatever. And the company was right down the road from my place where I lived. So I ended up working for them part-time during high school. I'd go up after school, wash some trays. Then when I graduated, I sort of started doing deliveries, in my spare time. Then I loved it. I actually fell madly in love with growing food at that time. They had a big organic market garden as well. And I thought, this is really cool. And then I thought, I need a real career. So I decided to go off and become a nurse. So I went to nursing school. I was doing nursing school. It was a part-time program, so I was still working a little bit. I arrived at work one day, and there'd been this massive challenge. The partners of the company were life partners as well as business partners, and one had run off with an employee. So I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to kind of help you out here. Yeah. What's going on?" And my husband is from New Zealand, so he and I had met when I was 17, and we'd been back and forth between New Zealand and Canada. And when I was in Canada, I'd work at the sprout farm. When I went to New Zealand, I'd do other things. And we ended up deciding Canada was home. So we moved back here and had bought this little tiny place up in a little community called Oyster River, just about 20 minutes from here. We knew nothing, absolutely. But one day I went to work, and my boss said, if she doesn't come back in 20 days, I'm closing the doors. And I was like, well, Glenn might be into doing it. So we ended up moving it into this little tiny greenhouse on our half-acre property in Oyster River. We got farm status, which I'm sure the neighbors must have just wondered. We had lights on at night and trucks coming and going, and I'm sure they just didn't know.
They thought you were growing something else.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing on a farm at middle of the night. 100%.
Yeah, on a half an acre in Oyster River.
100%. High volume crops. High profit.
I think we may have been the only residential property ever in that community to get farm status, but we did. And so then we kind of got to the point where we were really having to weigh and measure. We were young. We had no kids at the time, but we knew we wanted to move forward and be progressive and do something good in our life. I was doing my nursing on the side of the table. And one day I went to work at the hospital and had to give a patient 16 medications. And I came home and I said to Glenn, like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is, when you look at the contraindications of 16 medications going into one human in a day.
It's a lot of stuff going on in the body.
Like, I just started to think, I just really want to give people healthy food. And so more and more and more, even though we weren't very financially viable, more and more. it pointed towards the fact that growing food was really essential and was going to be part of my life anyways, if not Glenn's. So we had a few lucky breaks. We ended up having somebody who grew bean sprouts not far from us. He had money, we had none. And we decided we both wanted to get the businesses out of our backyards. So we were doing ridiculous shenanigans, driving to his place and driving back to Campbell River to deliver. It was ridiculous. Anyways, it doesn't matter. All over the place. We were just, we were young, stupid, naive.
We're familiar with those days. Yeah,
yeah, we all are.
Yeah. And so we ended up buying the property we're at right now with that business partner. So we, built this facility. We thought, okay, great. We've got this facility. And we're never going to grow out of this thing. And within 2 years, we were absolutely maxed. So we had ended up in a real growth curve at that moment in time. So that would have been 1994, 95 in that area.
Can I press pause for just one second? Because you glossed over drama, which I think is kind of cool, right? So you have owners that were life partners. One runs off with the employee. The other one is like, look, 30 days or I'm done with this thing. So how do you know? I mean, clearly you'd been working there since you were 16. So you kind of knew the business. You kind of knew what was going on there. What did you know right away that, like, when they said that, did you kind of go, no, over my dead body, is this thing going to close? We'll find a way? Or did you kind of go, wonder what I should do next? Like, it's kind of like, how old were you when you bought this thing? 19,
20, I don't know, like young. No, we got married. Glenn and I got married when I was 19, so I think I was 20, 21.
But that's it's still, to Phil's point, I mean, a 20-year-old 30 years ago is a little different than I feel what a 20-year-old is today, but still, that's a big deal.
Well, we had nothing to lose. Like, I mean, we had bought the cheapest property we could possibly find in Oyster River. We were building a house in the middle of it. We had a greenhouse on the property. The business was going to close. Like, we had nothing to lose. We had no money. If we lost anything, it wouldn't really matter. It didn't matter, right?
Did it cost to buy it?
To take a business with no money, like, how do you do that? Like,
sweat equity. I mean, honestly, it was sweat equity. We did pay him. We paid my ex-boss out, and one day I said, a little monthly payment. And I mean, he had all this land and everything. Anyways, he had some really good fortune in his life. And one day I phoned him and I said, you know what? We're making zero money. We're paying it all to you. So either we're done and we keep going, or we're done and you get the business back. And he said, I don't want the business back.
But that's an okay way to do it. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you kept the legacy going. Might be something in there for that.
It's the truth,
Well,
that is amazing
at that point.
Yeah. So there was like,
who's going to take it?
Yeah, we were really, we knew nothing. We had nothing to lose. It was all an excitement, like it was an adventure, right? So,
and if you don't fear anything, if you don't know what you're really up against, I guess it's really not. It just, again, you're clearly, you can discount it quickly. And him and I are just thinking, yeah, I get it, but still.
No, I don't get it. But
well, I'm trying to break it look like we actually get something. I don't get this either, but that's okay.
Listen, like
I love it.
There are always these moments, right? And then I'll shut up so you can keep going. But I just think, like, these moments are always amazing because everybody has a different moment.
Yeah.
But even on this show, there's really, I think I can think of a half dozen moments someone under 30 went, yep.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Let's do this thing. Like, let's own this thing, right? Like the only exceptions ahead of you are, a kid in Windsor who started pita chips because salad dressing because he needed something to do, right? Like, there's a handful of you out there that are really, that have done this sort of thing. So anyway, I think it's kind of cool.
Keep in mind, my business partner was a little older than me in the form of my husband. He was 5 years older than me. So, we had a little.
He was an ancient 25.
Listen,
but he grew up on a sheep and cattle farm in New Zealand. And so his whole family roots were farming, right? So,
Okay.
but they were farming, chemical farming a little bit, and we really didn't. We both of us were kind of alternative
Not okay with
thinkers.
that.
Yeah. I mean, same reason why I sort of realized I didn't want to be in the nursing industry. Not that people don't need medication, but when you're stacking 16 medications on a day, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, I just felt like, I guess I always wanted to be a change maker. When I was a little kid, I had pretty serious kidney issues. So I had to have a pretty major surgery when I was 4. Ended up in the hospital for a month. And I don't know. I just realized life's short. You got to get stuff done. And I don't know.
Well,
I just kind of rolled with it. It's just the way it is. So.
I guess if you can make a difference, I mean, to your point, I mean, if it wasn't for the meds, I mean, I'm sure life expectancy would be back where it was 60, 70 years ago.
Exactly.
So meds extended it for sure. But what comes with meds is a lot of implications and contraindications and things like that. So thank God there's a bunch of you're in these things and thinking there's got to be a better way. Like, we understand this is important, but mitigate, like, even if you chopped it in half, like anything to take a step forward, not keep synthetically trying to make us better.
Well, I think also for me personally, I had my own journey of health and issues early on. And I really found that some of the alternative things that I was doing had made a difference for me. And I really wanted to bring that to people elsewhere, like to everybody. But I don't think that I could have ever brought forward a message in that. And there's like in the medical system, it was really an interesting system. I was very naive and very, what's the word? I was kind of a Pollyanna at the time, thinking, oh, but you just need to do this and then you'll be healthy, right?
Yeah.
And you know, of course that's not always true, but I guess both Glenn and I have been driven, and I don't know, when I'm not working, I'm gardening. So I'm kind of pretty passionate about food and nature and all that sort of stuff as well. But that's been part of my life journey is exposing myself to that. After I'd worked on that farm, like, I didn't know I was going to be a farmer. I didn't know I loved growing food. I didn't know any of this stuff when I was a kid, right? I was into horses. I rode horses. That's what I did. But then I realized how cool this other aspect was and how much benefit we could bring to people.
So let's get back into the sort of the forward. So you're both in your early 20s. You decide to, okay, we're doing this, whatever this is.
Yeah, whatever this is.
You got the greenhouse. Couple years into it, you're maxing out on space because obviously you're not the only ones who want this. There's a market. Yeah. So what are you doing now then? So are you going to acreage? Are you in the same area? Like, you still sort of mid to North Island?
Same farm, right?
Well, we're on the same farm. So when we first started in Oyster River on our little half acre, we had our house on it too. That was fine. We dropped some samples off at Thrifty Foods in Nanaimo one day, and Alex Campbell Jr. was there the next day, and he phones us. He says, "I want you in all the stores." We're like, "That's a lot of stores. That's in Victoria. That's a long way. How did we get there? What did we do?" Like, Victoria's way far away from
That's
Courtney.
a long drive from Campbell River. Oh, sorry. When you don't know, that's a trek.
Yeah. So, you know, we bought this old green truck and we put this old cool hull on it, and we started growing enough sprouts, and Glenn would start early in the morning the day after harvest and drive down Victoria and deliver. And somewhere in there I got pregnant, and so then we had baby coming. So then we realized that this driving to Victoria every day was killing us, or like every week, twice a week was killing us, and we needed to focus on our family. So we sort of said to Thrifties, we really want to get our products to you, but we have a Thrifties in Courtney and you have trucks coming here. How about this? So it worked out that they basically backhauled to Victoria for us. So that relieved a lot of tension in the driving. We had lots of fun running out of propane on the Malahat and things like that in our little green truck.
And that's in the old days too, when Thrifties was really good that way, because the ownership was from the island. Yeah. And very focused on supporting the island.
Oh, they were great. They were amazing. If it hadn't been for them, I don't think we would be sitting here right now, because they really supported us and turned us into something that we could then see a future of growth. otherwise we would have just been in our little backyard selling to our little grocery store across the street,
Right.
and I think that wouldn't have lasted for very long. It would have gotten a little
Yeah, now it's
challenging.
a nice hobby.
Yeah. So the opportunity, like some things really did fall into place. Thrifties came along, the opportunity with our business partner who had money, us having none. This property that we're on now came up for sale. Nobody was buying it because they couldn't build a house on it. We didn't care about a house. We just wanted a farm. It had one deep well. We could tell that it was a really good aquifer. We use water. So we made an offer. I said, let's make a low offer. We made a low offer and they accepted it because they wanted to sell it, right? So they wanted to get on with their life. So we ended up with this 3.75 acre farm in Courtenay, just off the Island Highway. So it's really easy to get to, like really accessible for trucks and all that stuff. And we just got going. But our kind of farming is quite different than conventional farming. We don't grow in fields. We have some greenhouses, and we do have a small market garden on the property, but most of it is grown in what are called rotary drums. So we put like 60 pounds. Imagine like a big circle. I don't know, maybe 10-foot diameter with 4 quarters. So 4 quarters.
Okay.
We load seed into all 4 after seed sanitation. We load it into these 4 quarters. We turn it on. It waters, rotates, and moves air for a couple of days. We then take that product out of there. We put it onto trays. It's a controlled environment growing system. And then we grow that out for another 2 days. So our crop is ready in 4.5 days from start to finish. Super fast. So we could produce 365 crops a year if we wanted, but we grow between 7,000 and 10,000 pounds of food a week in our little facility here. So it's like probably 15,000 square feet total.
Wow.
So yeah, we're kind of.
You can do this all year round because it's a sort of controlled environment.
Yeah, the greenhouses are harder because the winter, there's more seasonality because they're greenhouses. But so they're between 6 and 16 days for crop cycle. But indoors, I mean, the mixed bean grows in 2.5 days. So we can.
So I guess because you only need to sprout.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We take a little seed and grow it, like double it or triple it, or the alfalfa grows like a seed multiplies by 10 times by the time it's a sprout. So, but what we really need is good quality seed. So that's been more and more challenging recently.
So, and you can't, like if it was a tomato, like in the old days, because trust me, this happened all over East Vancouver, all over Trail, because I grew up in Trail, right? So those seeds all came from the old country. Someone brought 1 or 2 over, and then you just, X amount of tomatoes don't go into the sauce.
Yeah.
They get seeded and whatever, and that was next year's seeds.
Yeah.
And it just sort of does it. I guess you can't really do this with sprouts unless you let a couple go to seed.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, if you think about if a pound of sprouts started as 1.5 ounces of seed, something like that, then that's a lot of seeds. So also there's some pretty important criteria around what we actually need to sprout, like the quality of sprout has to come from the seed. So there's a lot of variability, but our most important things that we need to know about our seed is that it's organic, that it doesn't have any pathogens when we buy it, that when we grow it, it's going to give us a good yield and a nice sprout. So it's completely different than growing a tomato plant where you want a nice tomato. So we just want a nice sprout. So we can sprout all sorts of seeds that nobody would want to make into a tomato.
But could you grow your, not going to be sprouts anymore, for lack of a better, because I don't know the terminology. So you put the seed and you let it grow to seed. Can you not do that?
No, I mean, to grow something to seed, like for example, alfalfa or whatever, it's a long process.
Okay.
Alfalfa is a perennial crop, so it comes back every year.
Right.
But from the time that it comes out of the ground to the time it's a full-grown plant producing seeds is about 6 months, so or longer. So I don't know the full life cycle of alfalfa, but I know the life cycle of an alfalfa sprout.
I didn't realize they were that fast, and so like you said, so like basic, if you could, on the fourth day, you could have some maturing, some on third day. Like it's not a long time to really do volume, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. So and if we have a crop failure, for example, we can bounce back pretty fast.
In less than a week, and I guess in theory, right?
Yeah. So we grow 4 crops a week here at our facility because it's just the way our cycles work. We're shipping to Vancouver twice a week. So 2 days to prep for Vancouver shipment out, and then off it goes. But the thing we're about the silliest people on the planet because we live on Vancouver Island and we're shipping products all through Western Canada as far as Manitoba.
I mean, you added a little waterway complication. Really, I'm not too sure what the logic was on that puppy, but
unfortunately, it's just because we really love living here. But yeah, so we have to use barges and all that sort of fun stuff. But we have a short shelf life. We need to have good quality seed. Like this is a fast moving industry. We produce it 2 days before, 1 to 2 days before we ship it, and we can't ship it a second time. Like once that log code has been produced,
it's got to go.
So it's a fast moving business. Like,
and I guess, I mean, just from Courtney Campbell River to the city, like I live in East Vancouver, just to get down here is a delay of time. If it had to sit in you know what I mean? Like I'm adding days. Like because we both worked grocery, worked retail, is that I'm thinking, shit, you lose 2 days there, maybe 2 days in the warehouse. Yeah. Oh my God, they'll put the order in today. That doesn't come tomorrow. It's another day. I got 5 days, only a 14-day life cycle.
I'm getting, like when I first started, I moved from the worst to the extreme industries because I had worked at like Kimberly Clark, which was like diapers, and then I'd gone to Danone, which is fresh yogurt, right? And back then it wasn't 40 days, it was 30. Yeah. And so it was always the same sort of thing, right? And then I remember moving from Danone to Pfizer, and the Pfizer guy said, this is an emergency. So I had it done in an hour, right? Because in fresh, that's what it, like, hey, we have dated product. Oh, I'm on the phone, right? Because I got to move it now. Like, because as soon as I figure out where it's going, I got to figure out how to get it there. And like every hour I'm wasting,
it starts subtracting time.
Yeah. Well, every hour that you waste is like a day of logistics that you could, like the difference between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. is the closing of a door. That means you got to ship tomorrow, and you're like, oh my God, like I could have sold it now. Yeah, I'm gonna sit and watch it waste, right? Like, so, but I'm feeling the anxiety.
Well, I have amazing production managers. They're phenomenal. These women just totally get it. They keep everything tight and clean. Like it just goes, right? So and we're selling to the same people over and over. So twice a week we get orders from these folks, and our job is to fill those orders, right?
Well, so Carmen, how far can you go then? Are you pretty much stuck to like the island and Lower Mainland? I mean, I guess you could go across Canada, but like time is not your friend.
No, we do ship as far as Winnipeg. So what happens is basically anything that's going to Winnipeg is packed the day it's shipped, right? But we ship on barges off the island overnight. So there's actually some benefit because one of the things, I mean, food safety is a big deal, but so is temperature for sprouts is a big deal. So one of the things by having 24 hours in a refrigerated system, we're having some time to get to temperature from fresh pack, like right off the production floor. Right. So we've got that 24 hours. So that's a bonus for us. The other bonus is that a lot of stuff comes to the island and a lot of trucks go back to the Lower Mainland empty. So we have backhaul is pretty easy for us. So we've got good refrigerated backhaul. There's a company in Courtney that does almost all of that transport for us now. So they're just taking it and they're dropping it by tomorrow morning. If I ship today, by tomorrow morning, most of the customers have their orders.
Right.
What happens is like some of the warehouses you have to make your booking appointments and stuff like that. And a lot of those are at midnight or whatever, late. So, it could be a 48-hour turnaround time on those ones. So it's not that bad getting it to the distribution centers, and then they know to move it fast. It's when you have, like, recently there was some logistics issues at one of our suppliers' warehouses. They couldn't receive anything. So that was fun. you know, so we've already got it in transit and their warehouse can't receive it. So Alberta got a bunch of stuff in their food bank recently from us. But you know, what else do you do? Like, it's just, we got to move it. So our process is sort of 48 hours after we start our product, we're doing spent irrigation water testing. Nothing leaves the facility till those test results come back. So that's got to be quick too. So everything in my life is quick. So ship the test results up. Airplane's not working. Guess what? Got to find another way to get it to Vancouver.
No choice. You got to just figure it out.
Start running. Run.
Whoops, we dropped the ball.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because time is time, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Anyways, we got that part. So in terms of sprouts, so like, what are we growing here? Like, what kinds of sprouts? I know you said alfalfa.
Yeah, alfalfa has always been our biggest seller.
That's steady Eddie, I'm assuming. Like most places have alfalfa sprouts.
So, and between the alfalfa, deli, garlic, that's definitely the majority of what we move. But broccoli sprouts are definitely moving up.
I didn't know broccoli had. I guess everything has a sprout. I guess.
Everything starts as a seed, but yeah, broccoli sprouts are pretty powerful little. Where
do you find broccoli sprouts?
In the grocery store. You can grow them yourself.
That's what I'm thinking. Listen, if I go to my little grocer up the street, I know I can find bean sprouts.
Yeah.
100%.
What do you mean? I find alfalfa sprouts. I like them. Alfalfa and pea sprouts.
I'm walking through.
Are my two.
I'm walking through Superstore. Bean sprouts we use because we do different foods with that. But I'm walking through Superstore and I'm thinking, I know where the rosemary is going to be if they have it.
Yeah.
I know where the parsley and things, and I'm assuming the sprouts are down that area. But I don't think, not in my head, is that there's this massive selection of sprouts.
Well, there are.
So pea sprouts, alfalfa sprouts, bean sprouts.
Yeah.
For me, at the ethnic grocer, so an Asian grocer would be
Small
right near
grocers, independents, 100%.
Near the green onions, near the leeks is kind of where it would be.
Yeah.
Then at Longo's doesn't have bean sprouts because I'm in an Eastern European neighborhood, so I don't really understand bean sprouts. But pea shoots will be there, and they'll be near the cilantro and some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. I don't picture in my head this wide selection.
I love
understand it.
Nobody else eats it in my house besides me, but I love it. Like it's. Yeah.
So if you go into the grocery store, Save on Foods or Thrifties or any of those ones, and so Phil, you're in Ontario, right?
I'm in Ontario.
Yeah. So you won't see my brand, but you'll see, Kenny, if you go to the grocery store, if you go to Save on Foods, you'll see these small packages with bright colored labels, and that's our product.
I'm taking a look now because I'm curious to see where the hell these things are. Now, what kind of variety that we carry in terms of as retailers, like what do they actually carry?
So the Pattison Food Group's buying mixed bean sprouts from us. They're buying alfalfa sprouts. They're buying deli sprouts, garlic sprouts, broccoli sprouts.
Good.
They buy the pea shoots and the mixed bean sprouts. So we grow sunflower greens as well, but they have a 7-day shelf life. Talk about a hard product to move. Yeah, they're really great locally, but not so great anywhere else. So we tend to sell those mostly on the island or to a couple of wholesale distributors in the Lower Mainland. But so there's and I could grow a million different things. It's just that we sort of honed in on the things that we know people want, and we used to grow wheatgrass, for example, and it was awesome, but our customers were super fickle. Like 1 week they'd want 40 cases, the next week they want 2, and the next week they want 100, and then they'd want none. Yeah, like it was ridiculous. And being on the island, we have to be really conscious about how much volume we can fit on a pallet. Like how many dollars can we fit on a pallet?
Right.
So, yeah.
Wheatgrass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for juice.
Okay. Yeah, for juicing. I don't know if
that's big in the city.
You ever had a shot of wheatgrass, you'll never forget it.
That's the extent of my knowledge about wheatgrass.
Yeah.
I know nothing else about.
It's like drinking your lawn.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kind of looks like your lawn when you bring it home. It's
But I was trying to be smart and show I knew something else, but I was like,
no,
I don't know what else I would use wheatgrass for.
Oh, they make this lovely stuff called Rejuvelac from the sprouted wheat seeds. It's quite the thing. It's like a lemonade. It's
Really?
wild.
Okay.
Not my favorite, but some people, I guess it's an acquired taste. Kind of like a lot of fermented foods, but anyway, yeah. So,
Got it.
so yeah, broccoli sprouts are just they're being touted as a superfood,
Right.
along with all the other stuff that we grow. But yeah,
I can't tell the difference. Like I got to read the packages because I have bought, I bought broccoli sprouts and I mistook it for, I think I was looking for garlic sprouts and they
right.
look almost the same, I think. But
So the subtlety of flavor is often in the extra chewing time. So if you ever get your hands on some broccoli sprouts, chew them for an extended time and you'll go through all this flavor profile. It's
Really?
quite fascinating.
okay.
So
Sorry.
since
It's wasted on me so far.
you two kind of know all this, so what do people do with sprouts? Like, what are they doing? Are they throwing it on salads? What are they doing?
You can do almost anything. I mean, alfalfa sprouts aren't great cooked. Broccoli sprouts, if you just throw them in a soup at the last second, they can handle a little bit of heat and they're quite delicious. But no, mostly, yeah, salad sandwiches, wraps. It's pretty much what we eat as greens most of the winter time. So we have in my house, anyways. When I bring in the package of spinach, it's like the kids used to say, "Can you get some spinach, Mom?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then I bring it in and I'm like, "Here's the contraband." Because if their dad saw it, they were like, "Why are you eating that stuff?" There's stuff in our greenhouses.
Yeah.
So funny.
Have some more kale, kids.
I use it. I use it on salads for sure.
I've had it in sandwiches. I'm okay with that.
Sandwich. You know one
salads if I go out.
Your Italian sandwich, if you throw pea shoots in it, it's like,
well, pea shoots because they're just so sweet.
Next level. And then pea shoots are like amazing.
Yeah.
Like for pho noodles, if you make pho noodles at home instead of bean sprouts, if you use pea shoots, it's like
so good.
It's next level, man. Like it's great. I'm realizing I know more about sprouts than I thought I did.
Look at you go. I'm gonna just tell you guys
these,
one thing. There's a difference between sprouts and microgreens. So the pea shoots actually officially fit into the microgreen category.
Oh, now I know.
Mostly. I mean, if they're tall and green and they have no roots, they're microgreens. If they're just little like seeds that have
like a natural sprout, like just a little guy.
Yeah, the little guy. We do those as well. We do green peas as the little guys, and then we have our pea shoots that we.
Carmen Wakeling, you threw that in there just as a decoy. Now I know less about sprouts again.
Well, you know that if it's this big,
I
don't call it
back like a whole lot. I promoted myself and I'm like, which
sprout? Just go this way. Sprout.
If it's cut off, it's not a sprout.
That's a lawn. That's different.
That's right.
Carmen, because we've talked about this, because we've had a chat, I think many months ago. Yeah. Just so for listeners, because I don't know much about sprouts, as we can clearly tell. Phil thinks he does, but he's
clearly I don't, right? I thought I did.
I feel pretty good right now.
Sorry, I didn't need to do that to you, Phil.
I'm actually happy you did, Carmen, so thank you. I love that one.
I'm just trying to get the message to the world about
but I think it's important. But I guess what I'm trying to understand. So, because again, I think I was telling you at the beginning is if I go online and look up, where to buy sprouts in Canada, what should I buy? It's not, first off, it's not great reading because it's a little chaotic. But you do start reading about sprouts, and sprouts are really healthy. I know that shouldn't sound amazed, but really they're very, why are we not eating more sprouts? Like, I know you and I've talked about some of the past where there was issues, which it doesn't seem like people can let go of. I don't know why. I don't get it. I mean, we've eaten romaine lettuce that has killed people. I don't think that anybody died from any sprouts, as far as I know.
Back in the day, there was a few.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, we're hanging on to this forever. I don't know why can we not shake this one?
Well, and it's super interesting because as an industry, the International Sprout Growers Association has really worked super hard with its members and with regulators and all that stuff. We have a sprout safety task force that we have training for sprout producers, The US expects all sprout producers to do 2 days of training. I think the problem is that our industry is really small, and we've always been so focused on trying to fix the food safety issues that we haven't put ourselves forward about, hey, yeah, we grow a really amazing product. And it's when you've been slapped down that many times, like I'm the president of the International Sprout Growers Association, so I witness this on a regular basis. But when those growers have been slapped down so many times, everybody's looking at them and blaming them for everything. It's a small industry to start with. It's really hard to pick yourself up from that over and over again and move forward. But as I was saying to you, Kenny, the FDA said to us last year, you guys are doing a really good job of your food safety programs are really stellar. And now if you need to market your products. So I think a lot of it is about us not under marketing, underselling ourselves. It's a hard industry, like we talked about, all the challenges. So you got to be pretty dedicated to stick it out. And the last few years have been hard on all businesses. So I think we're just looking at a kind of, we need to rise up in the marketing and keep the food safety stuff in place, but keep it in place. Like, it's super important. And
I think you can't let go of that, but you got to say, okay, like, I think we figured this part out and we're pretty solid at it. And as long as we don't leave the SOPs, like follow the rules, okay, forget that now for the minute. Like, how do we sell more stuff? Now, is it also proximity? Like, let's say in our province, we'll leave Phil's alone for the moment, but in our province, where are most of the sprouts grown? Because I guess my worry would be, obviously in the Lower Mainland, as good it was because there's most of the province, half the province lives in the Lower Mainland. The problem is, man, you got to do a ton of volume and a lot of dollars in sprouts to pay for the land and the real estate, because the city is super expensive. Like,
and that's why it's smart that we're on Vancouver Island.
Well, you've eliminated a lot of overhead, right?
Yeah. No, there's pros and cons, of course. We chose this. This was our home. This is where we wanted to be. And then we started this business. We didn't know we were going to have a sprout business. But then we had a sprout business, and we don't want to move. So, and then we started to see the cons, which were like, you have to get your products to Vancouver in temperature and all these things. But for us, we've navigated all those things now. Right. And unless they freeze the entire container, which has happened a couple of times.
It happens.
The popsicles on the other side. Other than that, generally everything gets over in pretty good shape, and the companies that we work with are really dedicated to our products and keep it moving. So like, we've got the system, and I think most of us are there's now becoming second generation, third generation sprout farms, and so there's a lot of knowledge there.
Right.
That can be passed on. So now it really is time for the next generation to market it and bring it forward. I was talking to a couple of the brothers that are part of our organization. They're the Sprout Brothers, and they're awesome dudes. And they said, we go to all these shows and there's all these kids there and they don't know anything about all that food safety stuff. So like, we've maybe passed through the worst of it, and maybe we just now have to tell everybody, this is a great food.
Well,
this is an amazing food.
I think that's sort of where we both probably go. Because I know, like, my kids would have, if I told them about sprouts, they probably know what they are more than I would, but they would have no clue of what I'm talking about, the health safety. Yeah, because it's going back way too long. Yeah. Like, the fact that I still think about it is stupid. It's so old.
Yeah. Well, so there's that. We can grow this food anywhere in the world. Like, if you have seed, you can grow this food anywhere.
Right.
So like, there's communities up in Northwest Territories. I was talking to a woman from up there in December last year, and I'm like, this is a no-brainer. Let me come and help you guys set up a facility.
Because even up there, if you're inside, it's 365, right?
Yeah.
Well, and up north, they, like, you can't pay. They just can't afford to pay $18 for a head of lettuce, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't make sense to ship my product up there from here. It really would make sense for them to be able to grow this food. So, I guess there's that other part of the thing where there's some climate mitigation ish, like through saving seeds and then turning them into sprouts wherever you need the food. You can make food even in places where maybe conditions aren't great at that moment in time.
Right.
And even in a third world country, for example, if you sprouted those seeds, you're going to get a lot more nutrition than you would. and you might have to cook them, like for example, a mixed bean or garbanzo product or something like that, just from the food safety point of view. But you're still getting more volume, more nutrition, and everything is still like there's a net benefit from it. So
in the closed system, don't you mitigate or pretty much eliminate a lot of those food safety issues? Because I don't know, right? So I would assume that maybe in the past what it was is if it's outside grown and stuff like that, if there's animals passing by or there's water, it's all those things. I'm assuming that's what it is. But once you're into a contained or controlled environment, don't you eliminate most of those issues anyway?
Yeah, like in our facility, we consider that there are, the incoming seed is potential contaminant. Our employees are potential contaminants. Our water is potential contaminant. And our equipment is potential contaminant. So all those things have to be evaluated. So there's but that's the same in any contained environment growing system. Like any of those different systems are running with, they've got seeds, they've got water, they've got people, they've got equipment. So yeah, it's just risk. It's risk mitigation and evaluation. And, if you learn something, it's continuous improvement. It's always, you learn something, you get better, every day you get better. So.
I think it's like what you're doing is so cool. I think you definitely the marketing, the advertising bit has got to come through. Cause I think you look at, I mean, it's a while ago. I'm definitely dating myself, but you think like kind of 12, 15 years ago, kale made this huge run, right? Like just huge run, like everybody kale chips, like California was opening kale first restaurants, right? And you're like, God, kale, like, and I hate this stuff, just so we're like really clear. If you haven't figured out, like I couldn't, no, thank you very much. I'll go eat some cardboard. I'm good. Thank you very much. But and it feels like, maybe that's what you need is a whole bunch of shouting right now, around people just, because I think the thing is when you say sprouts, it's such a big, weird category, if you will, for people that don't know. And then, so you kind of like, but you get into it. I get into it and I'm here right? But I do feel like I'm here because like I look at it and go, I recognize all these. Like I kind of know. I kind of know what I'm looking at, right? So it's definitely a lot of like awareness marketing and kind of getting mindsets there, right? Like about what it can do for your body and your health. So yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
So there's lots of opportunities, and I mean, our little organization we're a very dedicated group. We've been all in and out of this, it's suppliers, it's researchers, it's producers. We all come together. Kenny will get to meet some of us. We're an intimate group. It's not huge, that's for sure. But there's we have like world-class speakers at our conventions. We're participating in all sorts of stuff, and where we really need to focus is that marketing piece. It seems really essential now, and a collective message. Because I can do my little bit of marketing over here, and some other sprout grower can do it over there, and and so there might be that's probably why you're seeing kind of the chaos in the marketing of sprouts, because we're all kind of coming at it from our own angle. Whereas if we could come at it more collectively and give that kale representation.
I'm trying to think of, like even the kale thing. I can't remember why that all started too. I think there's a couple celebrities in California that went mental on kale, and then the kale chips became like, it was all that, right? But it's like anything too, like it's retailers need to understand what they're buying. And I even think you guys as growers and organizations need to understand how to tap into their marketing worlds, because you got to get buyers excited, because they're probably, to get to 1,000 people, you got to get through one.
Yeah, that's right.
And hope to God that one actually knows what he or she's doing and likes sprouts, or understands that people should like sprouts or could like sprouts. You got to get off your bias as Mr. or whatever buyer, that get your biases out. Here's why. But I need some compelling people in front of me to get my mind to understand why I need to do this.
Yeah.
And what's the benefit of giving you X amount of real estate?
Yeah. And I think the buyers have been really great. Like our buyers have been really great. I think it's more challenging in the US to get some of the buyers on side because it's more insurance. It's more, they're mitigating risk down there too.
Yeah.
So everybody has risk mitigation on mind and trying to navigate this. So we've done well with the food safety side of things. It's
the scary side now.
It's time to say we're great. Like, this is a great product. We love what we do. We're here because we believe in people's health, and this is the product we're producing for you guys. So
I think why him and I are asking all these questions are going back to, because I think whether I use Sprouts as much as he does or not, like I get it. And I think what's bugging probably both of us, because we've had discussions, him and I, we don't understand, like, what is, there should be 4 foots, 8 foots, like, because it just makes sense, especially he's got 3 young kids. My kids are, mid to late 20s. The market is there. Yeah. They get it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the other thing is that's really cool about Sprouts is either of you could grow them in your own home if you wanted. I mean,
I was just thinking that.
It's super fun. And it's like, I'm a sprout grower. I have a farm where I grow sprouts, like a lot of them. And I often grow sprouts on my counter at home because it's something that I don't do commercially, or, I'm playing around with something new and I just really like it. So
there's a guy I met last year. I think he was at a UNFI show, and he actually sells. It's a neat thing, right? Because I think people never know. He does mushrooms, and he sells mushrooms in a kit.
Yeah.
And so I grew mushrooms over the winter.
Yeah.
In my basement, right? And it's super cool because one, I wouldn't do that without guidance, because 1, I don't want to kill myself, and 2, I don't want to be hallucinating all the time. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? So I was like, okay, you give it to me, at least then I can blame somebody else. Yeah. And I think this is another one of those really neat ones, right? To be able to kind of go, like, let's grow it on the counter. Like, because, I think we're starting to get there now, is after the pandemic, there are things that I don't think people have let go of. Like basil, everybody seems to have it in their backyard now. You just can't have enough of the stuff between basil and oregano, green onions, like
rosemary, anything where all
have enough of that stuff, right? Just keep growing it. Just keep growing it, right? Like, so, and this is another one of those you kind of go, like, this is one that we should be doing, right? Like, we should be eating it. We should be growing it. We should, so it's kind of cool.
Well, and home sprouters are my favorite because they totally understand our product. They love it. And they are our customers when they can't grow it themselves. Like, so, and because they're so dedicated to the product. Mm-hmm. And they know how they feel after they've been consuming it. So they know that if they have had some reason why they've been on holidays or whatever, they've been out of town, they're going to go to the grocery store and buy until they can start growing, or they get into the habit of growing, or their family shrinks or grows or whatever, things change, right? So, we really, really, really try and I'm really in favor of home sprouting, and, getting this food to people. So we talked about the quick rotation of our products and stuff. So one of the things that we really strive for here in our company is to get our products, any excess products, to local food banks and, the people that are really in need. So once a week, we've got big loads going to the food bank and supporting people that are, in the position where maybe right now they can't be buying that food, but in a year from now, their circumstances have changed and they're like, yes, these guys really helped us through this time, So there, and that's give back to the community because, I've lived here almost my whole life, bar some time in New Zealand, and I was born in Alberta, but so
I think it's great. I think it's good. I mean, it's nutritious and it's good quality food, and that's it. I mean, it's, like you said, it's not hard to do. You can do it yourself at home on a counter.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit about seed. Like, we buy the majority of our seed from Saskatchewan farmers. So, certified organic Saskatchewan farmers are providing the seed. There's a funny, ironic little story, which is I buy speckled peas from the prairies. I bring them out to West Coast on Vancouver Island. I grow them into pea shoots and I send them back to Manitoba. I'm like, somebody in between's got to be able to do this, right?
Now, not that we want
That's
Carmen to make
hilarious.
any less money, but come on, folks, seriously.
That's hilarious.
If they can do it in the Northwest Territories, yes, even Winnipeg and Regina can do this.
Yeah. I'm not trying to reduce my business, but
No, we're not trying to do that either.
Increase per capita consumption, honestly.
If the consumption goes, everybody's going to win.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If people
Is the
understand-
government are there not that the government's any government anymore is probably great at farm subs or helping farmers outside of subsidies. Like, are there programs that that you guys can tap into? Because as to Phil's point, post-pandemic, I think we really understood that our system of food delivery, food supply is tenuous at best.
Yeah.
And that maybe having things come in 7,000-8,000 miles, traveling more than most people will in their lifetime is not the best way to maintain health. You might want to try growing a little closer to home.
Yeah.
Are there programs that are offered provincially or through the country to support?
I haven't seen anything supporting that particular topic, but we've had over the years, my company's had support. We've done, innovation work. We've done seed treatment, sanitation work through organic science clusters. We've done quite a few industry lead type projects.
Cool.
But most of it, once again, has been related to food safety. So, we've been working on the behind the scenes to really improve our food safety. And I feel like we're at a place where we have so much in place to, mitigate it, catch it, not ship it if there is an issue. So I feel like we're positioned well to, just really get people understanding that we may be one of the safest foods out there. I don't know, like just knowing that before my product hits a store shelf, it's been tested at least 3 times for like the top 3 pathogens.
Yeah.
Is, I don't think very many other foods can say that.
I doubt most of our lettuces can, and I think that's typically one of our bigger problems.
Our lettuces can't. Sorry, lettuce growers.
Sorry, lettuce people. And I think a lot of our fruits probably don't go
through. But like they go between those and spinach, right? Like they go on recall all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. Every year it's one or the other or both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the second part is like we as an industry have really worked super hard on our food safety programs, and there's a lot of transfer of knowledge that can happen. But it's so interesting because this, like, lettuce growers are kind of like, but you're sprout growers. We don't really want to be associated with you.
How rude. How rude.
Listen, you guys got more problems than we do.
I was once told by by an organization that the sprout growers were the redheaded children of the industry. I was like, that's not very nice. I mean, please,
come on, guys. Like,
please don't take that the wrong way. But I was like, I like redheads. Leave us alone.
Yeah, for all the gingers out there, we're not picking on you at all. But we know that sometimes you do take the bum ride. Like,
no,
seriously.
and I'm happy. I'm standing in right alongside you guys because
honestly,
apparently I'm one of you. So,
jeez.
Anyways, it was I was a bit strange. So I would love to work more with some of these other organizations that are, are doing innovative work. Some of them have great marketing programs. Maybe like we help you with your food safety programs. You help us with our marketing, let's work together. But we kind of, at times we feel like we're completely our own category. Like there should be like vegetables, fruit, and sprouts.
No, maybe that's okay too, though. Maybe that's okay too. And that's why, you would develop your own message and you really go to town for it. And then let them come knocking on the door later, and you're still going to help them anyway, but just do your own thing, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, this career that I've chosen was not the path I intended to go on, but it's been interesting. I learned something new every single day. I've had experiences I never would have had doing other things, and I've gotten to see lots of different places in the world because our conventions are all over the place, and met people from around the world. So
I think it's cool. I think it's really neat. I mean, we didn't know squat about. Well, one of us squat for sure. The other one thought he knew, but maybe didn't much about sprouts. So I'm really happy we finally got this one done because I think it's interesting, and I think it's one of those things that if we're talking sustainability of food and working on the supply chain, this is really not a complicated one per se.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky. The cost of things is going through the roof right now.
Pick a category that isn't though.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel terrible when I look at the grocery store and there's my little packet of Sprouts for $4, and I just really want somebody to be healthy and eat this good quality food, but I unfortunately can't do it for free. So
Yeah. No.
I would if I could. Okay.
No, I think it's still all good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Carmen, thank you for doing this. This has been amazing.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get something usable out of the whole thing.
No, the whole thing's usable. The
Also
whole thing's
usable.
good. Oh
100%.
no, we don't waste anything.
No.
This is all been
This is
amazing.
it, man.